What if I told you that everything that you think about yourself is wrong? Or at least it will be wrong given enough time. Think about the last time that you were at your happiest. What was going on in your life at that time? I know for me, it was a couple of years after I just met this girl who I absolutely fell in love with. During this time, everything seemed to be going great with her. And the business that I was working on was starting to grow, and it seemed like the only direction that things could go was up. And then right at the peak, just when I thought that things would stay the same forever, I found myself a single man again. And I found that things in my life changed, and fast. And many of these changes were life-altering. Something that you have to understand is that things are always changing. The person that you are today is not the person that you will be tomorrow. Every single day, we are quite literally shaped by the things that we see, hear, and experience. Things that we see on the TV, things that we see on the radio, experiences that we have with our friends. Sometimes a single sentence from some video that you watched on YouTube ends up destroying some belief that you've held your entire life and serves as the spark that transforms you into a better man. If you look at who you are today and compare it to who you were 10 years ago, you'll notice that you are most likely a completely different person. And the person that you will be 10 years from now will be completely different than the person that you are today, and so on. One of the biggest mistakes that guys tend to make is not realizing that nothing ever stays the same. Over time, our jobs change, our relationships change, our goals change, and everything is always in flux. And the real truth here is that the only thing that is ever really certain is change itself. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make is becoming attached to the way that something is now. I always think back to the relationship that I had with that girl, and I wonder why it all had to change. When I go to a store near me and they make me a particular type of drink, if I end up going to that store enough times, I start to expect the drink to taste a certain way. But as is always the case, over time, inevitably the drink ends up tasting different. And this could be because there's a new person working there who makes it. Or it could be that the supplies that they use to make the drink just happen to be a bad batch. There could be a million other reasons why the drink doesn't taste the way that I'm used to it tasting. But the one thing that is constant here is the fact that the drink is always going to change. And it would be a mistake to expect the drink to always remain the same, to always remain the way that I'm used to it tasting. When I was in elementary school, I became attached to that way of life and how school was from pretty much 1st to 6th grade. So when it was time to head off to middle school, I got angry and pretty depressed for a while because I was attached to the way that things were. So many guys at some point in their life begin to realize how the world really works in terms of what works and what doesn't. And after this happens, many of them get angry because they have become attached to outdated, ineffective beliefs that simply don't work. Whenever somebody says something that challenges one of our beliefs, it makes us angry because we are all attached to that belief, or that specific way of thinking, or the specific way that things are that we have grown accustomed to. Now, the greatest obstacle that you will ever face when it comes to changing yourself for the better is not the change itself, but letting go of the identity that you have attached yourself to. So many guys have trouble getting older because they're attached to the version of themselves that was young and could do anything. So as they get older and they can no longer do things the way that they used to be able to do them, they tend to get angry. At any given moment, everything in life is always changing, including you and I and everyone else watching this video. So the biggest mistake that you can make if you want to improve, if you want to become far from average, is becoming attached to who you are now rather than realizing that you are always changing and becoming something new. No person is exactly the same person today that they were even a day ago. So the fastest path to changing who you are today is embracing the fact that the only thing that truly is constant is change itself. And that because of this fact, we truly are not who we think we are. And so one of the biggest mistakes that we all must try to avoid is simply believing that everything will always stay the same. Because if history is any indicator of how things are going to play out, the one thing that we can always count on is that things are always going to change. And with that said, until next time, thanks for watching.